there's no one here. There's no one here for story time. Let me see, are they on the computers? No. Are they over here at the craft tables? No. There's no one here for story time. Where is everybody? Oh my goodness, everybody's late for story time. I'm just being silly. The library's not open right now, so you can't come to story time. But you know what? I am bringing story time to you. I'm coming at you right into your house. How crazy is that? I am really sorry that I don't get to see you guys this week for story time, but every week until we reopen, we are going to be having digital story times right here. This week, we are having the South Branch story time with me, Miss Amy, at South Branch. Next week, you'll see a story time with Miss Amy up at Thornton. So keep tuning in every week for those story times. We're gonna have so much fun. Now, if you have been to one of my story times before, you know that I always start my story times with our story time song. So we are going to stand up and we are going to sing our story time song. Let's go. Hands go up, hands come down. I can turn myself around. I can stand on one shoe. I can listen, so can you. Let's sit down, I'll show you how. Story time is starting now. It's time for story time. Okay, our story time today is about something that has changed recently. Something that's changed outside with the weather. Have you noticed that it's getting a little bit warmer outside? And maybe there are some things changing out in the trees and in the ground. It's getting warmer. We're getting some flowers and some buds and maybe some little animals running around. Have you seen any of those? Well, guess what? It is now spring. And so for our story time today, we are reading a book called Finding Spring. Finding Spring. Now, if you've been to one of my story times before, you know that before I read my book, I like to wonder. I like to wonder about my stories before I read them. So I've got a book called Finding Spring, but that makes me wonder. Finding spring? How do you find spring? Did you lose spring? Can spring hide and go away? I don't know. The other thing that makes me wonder is if you look at my book, is this going to be a story about a little boy or a little girl? No. Who's this story going to be about? This is a story about a little bear. A little bear. And I think our little bear friend wants to find spring. But how is he going to do that? I guess we're going to have to read our story to find out. So let's read Finding Spring. The forest was growing cold. Ooh. Mama said that soon it would be time to sleep. But all Maurice could think about was his very first spring. Got Mama, we've got Maurice. Spring, 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 he sang as they filled up on berries. Yum, yum. I wish it was spring right now, Maurice told Mama. Waiting is hard, she said, but right now it's time to sleep. It's time for all bears to go to sleep. Maybe you will dream about spring, Mama whispered. Soon she was softly snoring, but Maurice was wide awake. I will go find spring. And there he goes. He's off to find spring. Do you think he's going to find it? And off he went. Everyone in the forest was busy. I am looking for spring, Maurice told Squirrel. Oh, that might take a while, Squirrel chittered, turning to bury a large acorn. I am looking for spring, he told Rabbit. Not yet, Rabbit giggled before dashing into his warm burrow. Deer didn't even look up from her grass. I am looking for spring, he told Robin. Tweet, 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 tweet. Everything in its time, Robin said. And then she flew away and flew south. Nobody wants to help him find spring. The woods smelled musky, and there was something new and tangy in the air. I smell spring, said Maurice as he hurried along. Do you smell spring? Suddenly, Maurice felt an icy sting on his nose. Is that spring? He asked. A beautiful crystal landed on his paw. It must be spring. It must be. The crystal disappeared. But soon there was another, and another, and another. Maurice chased after them. Oh, spring is hard to catch. He chased them past some dry leaves, past the bare branches, and over the frozen stream. All the way up to the top of the great hill. Wow, said Maurice. But you know what? Did Maurice find spring? No. What did he find? What did he find on the top of the hill? He found snow. He found snow instead of spring. Spring, 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 he sang as he scooped up a bit to take home. I found spring! Did he really find spring? No. Back in his den, Maurice snuggled up happily against Mama. He slept. And he slept. And he slept. And when he woke up, everybody had already gathered in the meadow. I brought you some spring, he announced. But spring was gone. Where is it? He asked. Oh, tweet, 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 tweet. Spring can be hard to find, said Robin. Maybe it's hiding, Rabbit giggled. Deer just blinked. Sometimes you really have to search, said Squirrel. Let's look again, said Mama. So Maurice led them back through the forest. And you know what he saw? He saw blooming branches on the trees. He saw bright green buds on the ground. He saw the rushing stream. Everything had changed. And Maurice knew just what to do. To the great hill, he cried. What do you think they're going to find on the great hill? Is it going to be more snow? I don't know. Let's find out. And at last, there it was. Maurice had finally found spring. What is all over the hill? It's flowers. He found flowers everywhere. And that's how he knew that spring had finally arrived. And that was the story, Finding Spring. But you know what? Sometimes I wonder, how do we really know that it's spring? I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell. So you know what? I'm going to be like Maurice, and I'm going to go out looking for spring. Can you come with me? Do you think you can help me find spring? I don't know. It might be hard. We might have to look really, really hard. But you know what? Let's go see if we can find spring. Come on.
Okay, I am looking for signs of spring because I want to see if I can find spring. So come on with me and let's see what we can find. Maybe, if we're lucky, we'll be able to find spring. I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring anywhere? I'm looking for signs of spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring anywhere? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm looking for signs of spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring anywhere? I am trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring anywhere? I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring anywhere? Is that a sign of spring? I don't know. I'm trying to find spring. Do you see a sign of spring? I'm trying to find spring. Is this a sign of spring?
Smith.
Hi, Miss Amy.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to pull up the weeds so that these teeny tiny lettuce plants can grow.
Oh, wow. That sounds really cool.
They've been sleeping in their seeds, but now they're waking up and they're coming up, and pretty soon we'll have lettuce.
Oh, great. Well, maybe you can help me. I've been all over, and I'm trying to find spring, but I can't find it. I found trees, I found flowers, I found all sorts of animals, but I can't find spring. Have you seen spring?
Well, I have not seen spring, but little seeds grow into little plants only in the spring. So spring must be around here somewhere.
So if I found plants, that means I found spring?
Little bitty plants where they're just coming out of the seeds.
So we did it.
Certainly spring should be around here somewhere.
We did it! You guys, did you know that? I bet you probably did. You're so smart. We did it! We found spring! Oh my goodness, that was harder than I thought it was going to be. But you know what? I happen to know a song about spring, so I think it's time for us to sing a springtime song, okay? Let's go.
Okay, it is time for our springtime song. And to sing our springtime song, we need to know the moves and what animals that we are going to see in the springtime song. So the first animal we are going to see in our springtime song is a bird. And our bird likes to flap its wings. Can you flap your wings like a bird? Ooh, flying around, a nice, beautiful bird. The second animal that we see in the springtime is a bzzz, bzzz. It's a bee, a little bumblebee. So we are going to flap our teeny tiny little wings like a bumblebee. Bzzz. The third animal we see in the spring is a ladybug. So we are going to pretend we have some antennas and we're going to be a ladybug. The fourth animal that we see in the spring is a beautiful butterfly. So we're going to take our two hands and we're going to put them together and we're going to flap them like butterfly wings. We're going to be a butterfly. The final animal that we are going to see in the springtime is a ribbit. Ribbit. We are gonna see a frog. Can you jump like a frog? Let's see. Can you go ribbit? Ribbit. Great. We are gonna go hunting for some springtime animals. Let's see if we can find some in our song. Let's go.
Spring is here, how do you think I know? I just saw a bluebird, that is how I know. Spring is here, how do you think we know? We just saw a bluebird, that is how we know. Do the bird walk and strut your thing? Do the bird walk, flap your wings? Do the bird walk, do anything, and look around for another sign of spring. Spring is here, how do you think I know? I just saw a bee, and that is how I know. Spring is here, how do you think we know? We just saw a bee, and that is how we know. Do the bee walk and strut your thing? Do the bee walk and flap your wings? Do the bee walk, do anything, and look around for another sign of spring. Spring is here, how do you think I know? I just saw a ladybug, that is how I know. Spring is here, how do you think we know? We just saw a ladybug, that is how we know. Do the ladybug walk and strut your thing? Do the ladybug walk and flap your wings? Do the ladybug walk, do anything, and look around for another sign of spring. Spring is here, how do you think I know? I just saw a butterfly, that is how I know. Spring is here, how do you think we know? We just saw a butterfly, that is how we know. Do the butterfly walk and strut your thing? Do the butterfly walk and flap your wings? Do the butterfly walk, do anything, and look around for another sign of spring. Spring is here, how do you think I know? I just saw a frog, and that is how I know. Spring is here, how do you think we know? We just saw a frog, and that is how we know. Do the frog jump and strut your thing? Do the frog jump? Bada bing, do the frog jump? Do anything, and look around for another sign of spring. Wait, there's some mosquitoes. All right, frogs, tongues out, here we go. There's another one. Tongues out. There's another one. Tongues out.
Okay, it is time for our craft. Are you ready? I'm going to throw the craft to you through the camera. Are you ready? On your mark, get set. Did it work? Did you get it? Oh, it didn't work? I'm sorry. Well, you know what? I'm going to show you what I'm doing for craft, and then maybe you can recreate it with things that you have already at home. So here we go. First, I've got a picture of a tree. It's a picture of a tree, but you know what? It doesn't really look like a springtimey tree, does it? It doesn't have any leaves. It doesn't have any flowers. It doesn't have any birds or squirrels or sunshine. It doesn't look like a very springy tree at all, but you know what? We are going to change that. We are going to turn it into a springtime tree with some things that we've got lying around our house. First thing you need for a springtime tree is some crayons. Anybody have crayons at home? If you don't have crayons, you can use markers or colored pencils, anything you want to color your tree. So I've got some crayons here, and you know what else I've got? I've got some little squares of tissue paper. Little green squares. If you don't have tissue paper at home, you could use construction paper, you could use wrapping paper, you could use newspaper and color it green. You can use whatever you've got lying around that you want to use. But I'm going to use my crayons and my little pieces of tissue paper to make a springtime tree. And you know what else I've got? I've got some glue. And that's what I'm going to use to stick the tissue paper onto my tree with. So let's see if I can make a good springtime tree. Let's find out.
And here it is. Here is my Storytime craft. I've got a tree with some beautiful leaves and flowers. I've got the sun shining. I've got flowers growing down below. What do you think? Does that look like the springtime that you see? I think it does. Thank you so much for coming to my story time this week. Don't forget there'll be another one next week with Miss Amy from up at Thornton. But until then, I hope everyone has a great week. I hope you stay safe, and I'll see you very soon. Bye! Bye! Bye-bye! Bye-bye now. Bye! Are they gone? Are they? Oh, you're still here! Bye! Bye! Bye!